a long tunnel stretched out in front of me as this thing whisked along real quick. And there were rooms on either side, and they whisked by. And I noticed that when I turned my head to look at one of the doorways going by, my speed slowed perceptibly. And that was no matter which side it was on. And I started to understand that the act of turning from the path to look at something else on the side slowed your journey. And I did that on either side. And I started to realize, oh, that's what you're saying. Okay, got it. And then it moved along and moved along. And there was another point where I'm looking at that tunnel and starting to realize that what I thought were walls on each side, the bottom was beginning to melt, and you could actually see a landscape out from each side of this tunnel, which was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff.
All right. Want to welcome everybody to the Blue Moon in May of 2026. Hi, Mickey. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
Yes. So, and I feel like, and I know you're going to talk about this, Mickey, but I feel like we're going to be leaving our baggage behind and going through this portal to the new Earth, new dimension. Yeah. So how are things, Mickey?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Fancy that I just happen to have something I wanted to tell you. We're laughing because we need to.
Right, and Carol, I could ask you the same thing, and here, how's things going with you? I don't even want to go there. See? Right? The answer to the question from everybody I've said it to is don't ask.
Oh God. Well,
it's terrible. I feel like I'm coming out of a hole. Oh, yeah. So,
yeah. Oh. Well, this is such a, I won't say momentous. I will say noticeably intense. This is a heck of a loop that we're in. And I don't know if any of you have ever heard of what a Mobius strip is. Anybody know that term? If you take a piece of paper, a sheet of paper, and you cut a strip wide, like say a couple inches wide. And when you're getting ready to join it, you join you'd have two pieces. If you split it on each end, you would put together this one with this one instead of like that. You put it like that and put this one like that. So remember when we kids and we go like that all the time, this is where you're going to join the paper in the same way with your hand twisted. And then you follow this slit there and you just cut it and keep cutting and keep cutting and keep cutting. And you will discover that it goes on and on and on. It doesn't stop. It's now twice as long. But it goes on and on. You can't find one side. If you were to take a pen and start writing along the middle of it, when you come to the end of it, you would still be going. Okay, so it's similar to the infinity sign. It's that same concept that you cannot come to the end of any place you start. Okay? And so this thing with me today was where I did a short breath meditation, heart and breath, and off I went. I didn't realize I had stepped on a slate through time, but anyway, I was skidding along on what I insanely thought of as a path, but that was just in the beginning, and then it started to go faster and faster, like it was motorized. And I started to see myself in a long tunnel stretched out in front of me as this thing whisked along real quick. And there were rooms on either side, and they whisked by. And I noticed that when I turned my head to look at one of the doorways going by, my speed slowed perceptibly. And that was no matter which side it was on. And I started to understand that the act of turning from the path to look at something else on the side slowed your journey. And I did that on either side. And I started to realize, oh, that's what you're saying. Okay, got it. And then it moved along and moved along. And there was another point where I'm looking at that tunnel and starting to realize that what I thought were walls on each side, the bottom was beginning to melt, and you could actually see a landscape out from to each side of this tunnel, which was beautiful, beautiful, beautiful stuff. So the point this time was that everything goes on and on and on forever. There's no wall there of any kind for whatever your journey is. It's all open to look out at, and to look out at the idea that the universe will offer you every version of anything you could ask or dream for. But it's all there. You just have to be careful to time looking at any of it to a point where it doesn't matter that it slows you down slightly to do so. So that comes into play as well. And then slowly, as I'm still zipping along, the sides of that view started to disappear, and I realized I had 360-degree vision of what was going on. And I thought, but how is that possible if we're still moving forward? I'm trying to find the center. And the answer was, but you are the center. Okay, so I had at that point, there started to be what I call a download. I was zipping in and out of being deep where I couldn't see anything but what was going on, or popping out to where I could actually be aware of the room. And it was one of those points when I called you, Kate, and could talk to you, because I wanted someone to know what was going on. And I was still in a light meditation when I spoke to Kate, but immediately after we signed off, hung up the phone, it zipped back up to the intensity it had before. And it went on like that for about 2 hours.
Okay. So it really just ended.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I had set the intention in my head. I heard myself thinking out the intention that, well, it has to give me at least an hour before time for our talk. And that's exactly what it did, to the minute. People are often so excited that, oh, wow, I'm having a really deep meditation. Hi, let's go. I'm very happy to give it all the time it wants. Okay, that's one of the things I learned very soon. I'm not rushing probability or fate. I hope it hears me. I am not rushing probability or fate. Okay? Sitting back to wait and see, now that I realize Sethian principles, sitting back to watch and wait to see what you programmed.
If you pay attention to the Ho'oponopono, that's exactly what that does too. It's acknowledging something that's been brought to you, and it's taking responsibility, whether you know why it was brought to you or if it was something that happened in the past that you just don't even know, but still taking the responsibility that your higher self has brought this to you for a reason. And then you say the 4 phrases: I'm sorry, please forgive me, thank you, and I love you. And if you repeat that, the anxiety will quiet. But it's about taking responsibility for whatever is coming to you.
That's where the magic is.
Yeah.
As you step into the very center of the path. I mean, when we get together and we talk and we're saying, yeah, you create the sun, you create your own reality, blah, blah, blah. But we're just conversationally batting it around. And, I'm thinking of doing so and so and so, blah, 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 fill in the blank with anything that you wanted to manifest and didn't, you know. So it's all about the moment at which you acknowledge that you're seriously looking for the more mystical path. Hello, Martin.
I'm with you.
Martin's my new right-hand man.
Oh, good. Good.
I'm old.
What did you say? You're home?
I'm all left-handed.
Oh.
Well, that's good because I'm right-handed, so that gives me two good ones.
I'm left-handed. Ha ha.
Nice.
Yeah. Once you go to a certain depth, you cannot escape the reality because the lessons start to all be about one thing. You cannot escape the reality that everything you see, you're in the center of it because you created it. There's nowhere you can look that you don't see something you blank and created. Gosh.
So, Mickey, when you were talking about your meditation, I was getting this, it was sounding to me, it was bringing up memories to me of this video I saw once that was about, they were replicating what it's like to travel at the speed of sound.
Oh, okay.
Or, no, the speed of light. I'm sorry, the speed of light.
Oh, dear. Oh, dear.
And what it was everything in your peripheral vision, everything off to the side would get very warped. It would look very warped. And of course, time changes at that point. So if you were to be able to see anything clearly, you would on the side, you would have to slow down in order for it to come back into perspective.
That was my point. So the lesson in that moment was you have to understand that when you turn your attention to something, it uses some of the juice, your spiritual juice, like in your brain and your nerve system, running away from the brain. But as you turn toward the thing, you are literally juicing it up with your attention. There is a charge in your attention, and it's very important. And it's up to you to learn as soon as you can how to really manage that power. Because every time you turn to pay attention to something, you're spilling the power. And you have to question yourself as you turn toward it, which makes you slow down. Was this worth the energy? Whatever it was you were looking at, is it worth the energy I'm now filling it with? And as people turn and look at you, there's little bits of energy that go into you as well. Whatever the focus is of whatever the thing is that you focus on, it costs you a measure of what you're made of. And you have to be the only master of how that attention from you is spent. And that's what this whole thing today was about. I was told to ask, how do you define yourself? When you think of yourself, what do you think? Who are you? What is this person that's here, and what am I doing? Or what do I think about it? But it's the thing of, at what point in your life do you actually think about it?
I actually think about that a lot.
Do you?
Oh yeah, that has been something that has helped me thinking about separating my being myself from the things I do, which are expression of myself.
Right.
And not not identifying myself as what I do.
Right.
That's been a mental exercise of mine for quite a few years.
Yes, ma'am. Me too. I agree. Oh gosh, you made all my little resonant wires vibrate because everything you said, I really believe it.
Yeah.
I think you're the only person I've ever heard actually say it all in one.
Well, I think identifying as what we do is a trap.
Yes,
It gets us stuck. So,
part of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long does it take you to realize that's just a flipper you're playing with, but you haven't gone over to any other part of the game?
Yeah. Right. And it's easy to change how we express ourselves, So,
Oh, it is.
and you don't have to be, I mean, you can be like a lifelong artist. You can dedicate yourself to one thing, focus on one thing,
Right.
become
Right.
famous in that one thing. You can do that. That's all fine, but it's also just as fine not to do that. It's also just as fine to skip around and do this and then that and then this and then that.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Yeah.
You are so right. So right. But you see, we each take vastly differing lengths of time to even come to the conclusion that there is an option to look at that, to look at things that way. We constantly have options all day, every day about do this, do that, move here, move that, call this, whatever. But one fine day, the option in that moment, you're standing there and suddenly you start having thoughts about something you didn't think about before. And so whatever you created had an option right then to put in front of you what it took to start realizing that you had options. That's a big statement. I mean, it's great. Whatever way you think of defining yourself, you will only show yourself at the level of exchange, of the level of existence. Now, what I was trying to say is when you define yourself and realize this is who I think I am, what you've just done is outline your version of your reality and the level it's on.
Right.
And then I realized, okay, there are billions of other levels that I haven't reached yet or have already been through or whatever, but there's millions, billions of others out there. And then I can look into myself and pick out the next now.
Yeah.
Okay? And line up a series of them that I'd like to pursue and call it a path. All of that is what today was about. It was reminding me, this thing I've been talking about, Pluto is all about massive transformations. And we've been saying, kind of get on your good foot and brace yourself for the transformations that have come in the last week or so and are still going to manifest as we go forward. But this time, this moon is about be sure you discard what is not serving you. And that time from the new moon until now, where I was saying to you to do that, well, it's now saying time's running out, get it done, or you're going to blow it. Now, if you want to blow it, if the part of how you define yourself is to be a person who knew and still didn't do it, then that person chose a different series of events. The ones where this and this and this positive thing from the event never happened. Whatever good energy was supposed to come from that particular version of the experience, it never got put into your soul bank. So now you still have to go to the next thing, but without what that could have given you to help you as you move along. And that's what this was all about. This full moon is saying, pull up your pants and leave. Okay. This is it. Get going. Now, I can't tell you what's on the next hill, but I can tell you that as you walk along toward it. You're going to be so glad you're walking along toward it, because you will hear a big bang behind you as you see everything that was out there was actually getting ready to implode. And you're like, "Phew, thank God I'm not still in there." So that will be part of it. It will whiplash. I saw some illustrations over the last couple of weeks where it had cut the zodiac in half and made it like an up and down of two halves of things. And that's exactly like what it is. You are going toward the small mountain, you get to the top, and you slide down on the garbage can top, and say, whee, that was great. And then the next mountain, though, might be a little bit taller, and it may have a few things in between as you go up. And coming down, you're busy thinking about, thank God I've made it through, and I can't wait to get to the bottom or whatever. But this thing that we are doing is we're trying to follow what Seth said. He said, don't worry about the small stuff, and he said, and everything is small stuff. So, it sounds so simple, but Kate, I swear that's one of the hardest things I've ever done. I've spent decades working on it. I know you have. Each of us here today realize that the things go up and down, up and down, up and down, but that's the nature of things. So we're huddled together, watching each other go through whatever the small mountain is for each of us. And there's strength in numbers.
Yeah.
So I'm so glad to have each of you to combine with, to have my spirit and yours actually combine the essence of where they're going. And to know that I can trust that that energy I'm getting from you has a certain purity of intention.
Yeah.
That's a big part. But, I'm so grateful.
Nikki, you're sending my mind in weird direction.
Really?
Your paper thing you said at the beginning and the twisting, and
Yes.
then it's the same as infinity.
Right.
If you were to grab the infinity by the ends of it and twist it in opposite directions,
Yes.
then you would end up with a double helix, right?
Yes, you do. Yes.
Which is the DNA model, right?
Right.
And it's also a spiral.
Yes.
So I look at.
It's called the Mobius strip.
I'm sorry?
It's called the Mobius strip.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I also can relate that to, like, I always use a model of a spiral, going through life as a spiral.
Yes.
And what, it's the same as the infinity sign, just twisted.
Yeah, well, the actual infinity sign is simply a frontal view of it twisted.
Mm.
It is twisted. The center does meet and cross. And one of the greatest secrets of studies on certain levels of the occult is when you run into the actuality, the truth of the center point there, and it's twisted. And then there are all kinds of philosophical discussions about what that means and what it's for and blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Lots of people like to spend lots of time on all the machinations of different symbolic truths, especially spiritual ones and especially mathematical ones. They're the great underpinning of this reality and how we create it. Not so much but the fact that that's the scientific explanation for so many of the things we created. We did use a grid, a thought grid of how, if you think this, then you're going to think this or this or this. And there's only so many options. And whichever one you pick, okay, that means now you have these options, et cetera, for the rest of your life. And when you look out at the sky, everything in it follows that same model.
Right. Yep.
I get so much joy from the DNA, just looking at it, even whenever those illustrations come up, I find that's just almost mesmerizing.
You know, in one of my Reiki classes that I took, I think it was Reiki 2, they talked about how each chakra, it was the infinity symbol, and where it met was at the actual gland. So it went behind you and in front of you, made that infinity symbol. So whenever I hear it, I always think about the fact that that is what keeps our spirit body moving and growing and fluent.
It is the center of everything. And to me, it's only my humble opinion, but I get twisted. Even as recently as a couple of weeks ago when I was thinking out some stuff about the tarot, I don't know which of the two of these I would call the person that we're speaking of, who represents that center of all the potentiality in existence. And I'm torn between whether it's the Magus, the very
That's
first
what I
deck.
thought.
I think that's why he's the first card in the deck. Or 4, the Hierophant, who he stands for the deepest spiritual secret language, you know, all the secrets of the spiritual world. And he supposedly knows everything. But those two, to me, are very difficult. I interpose their energy because they're a symbol for the potentiality of man on this planet and all that he can be, and the fact that he has all of the different tools in the universe at his disposal. But when will he know it in each case? You know, it takes time. I wanted to tell you as well that this experience today was an absolutely direct result of what we do when we do the journeys. Okay, that's how I got into this. That's how, I've learned to be quick and easy with how I get into the quantum spaces. And it was definitely that. I recognized it right away as I was getting into it. Now, it's not that I got away from it, the version we're used to. It's that my focus on what I was seeing became so, it just took in those things that I was talking about, the lessons of what it was showing me. You know, I didn't think again about aligning it with any particular type of meditation. I was simply gone. I was moving, baby. So, but I did think of you, and I thought about what we do. I thought of the journey. You know, so hint, hint.
Well, I'm hearing you there. And you know what? Life is a journey. The afterlife is a journey. The pre-life was a journey. I mean, it is the infinity symbol. It never does end.
No, it
just changes form.
Everything we study and everything we learn, all the wisdom, all the lessons, is one of the frames on. If you cut the infinity into, or if you make it look like a piece of film, motion picture film, where it's one frame after another. Well, each time we learn something else on the spiritual journey, a particular frame lights off and the next frame in front of us lights on. You know what I mean? You can kind of follow a person through a journey in the universe, inside the infinity. And then we do another version of an infinity to study. We pick them. You know, and we walk that particular one. We walk the path and go through whatever it has to offer. And we set it up before we started. As we opened that door and walked in, you know. So I am fascinated by it. I don't know, I probably sound quite silly, but I felt like a child who was being exposed to their best wishes. I was sitting in a store, sitting on the floor. Mommy was busy with something else, and I had a chance to sit in the middle of the floor and fantasize about every box of toys I saw in front of me. You know, would if I had that one. Oh, but over here I can do this. Oh yeah, we could do this and we could do that. That was the feeling of the pure, joyous energy of not having anything to worry about for a few seconds. Well,
All right. Well, thank you all.
good to see you.
Bye
everyone.
bye.